song playing on the radio. Birds singing about what they know. A new day comes in slow. The sunlight dancing in a light show on window panes and shining rays on all the pillows. Lighting all your sorrows, you make me feel like I'm the sun in your outer space, wrapped around me like cellophane. We've been laying here since Saturday, and I just can't see it playing out any other way. I wanna feel just like this every day. I'm your forever always. And you can have my Saturday nights. I could be a Sunday morning weekend paradise. We could do whatever you like. Make all of my dreams come true. Yeah, you can have all of my Saturday nights. I could be a Sunday morning the rest of my life. Sunday morning, Sunday all the time. I can't let you do this. I don't know if I'm ever gonna be the same. Oh boy, there's gotta be more to this. Just tell me that I'll hold you in my arms again. Giving up on love, on love. We're giving up on love. We're giving up on love, our love. We're giving up on love. You and me will never make it through if we go on this way. And I can see all that's to do is fix our own mistakes. I can't let you do this. I don't know if I'm ever gonna be the same. Oh boy, there's gotta be more to this. Just tell me that I'll hold you in my arms again. Giving up on love, on love. We're giving up on love. We're giving up on
Hello,
Hello.
and good evening. I am Damon Rich,
And I'm Tamika Rich.
and welcome to Marriage Refresh TV. It has been a somewhat busy day for me. I don't know about for you. How's your day been, honey?
It's been busy, but it's been a good day. Happy Tuesday, everyone.
Happy Tuesday, outstanding. We're glad to be with you today. We are excited. We have a really good topic, I think, on tonight that actually came from I guess someone inboxed us and gave us a topic that we're talking about tonight. And really, we're talking about, would you rather be loved, or would you rather, choose a spouse that has to learn to love you? And so I'm gonna read a little bit about what came in. I'm not gonna name names, but I'm gonna read a little bit that came in, and then in part two that I think really kind of goes with this, honey, and you You sent this to me. I'm gonna try to pull up a video for you to listen to. It's about 2 minutes, so that you can listen to the meeting or listen to the video and what's being said, and then we're gonna discuss the video because I think the video was quite powerful, and I do think that it is uh, um, something that happens quite frequently in relationships, and I think maybe it happens really on both sides, but I think it happens in different ways, and I think that this one happens a lot to women to a certain degree, and so we're gonna definitely try and pull that up. So I might have to slide off camera because unfortunately it's an Instagram video. Didn't know how to download it or pull a copy of it, so I didn't know how to, get it and be able to clue it in, so I could cue it up and that type of thing. But hopefully we'll be able to watch it and get that going. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. So our topic for tonight, and I really want to get into this. I'm gonna read you what came into us. That says, and I won't read it all. Let's see. Oh, can I even find it? There it is. All right. So here's the topic, and I'll read my initial off the top of the head response later, maybe.
Okay.
Or something. But it says, "Hey, good morning. So I have a topic request, something I would like to hear from a crowd with wisdom and experience. So I am sitting here debating, would I rather be with or marry someone who loves me versus someone who has to learn to love me? Does that make sense? What are the questions to ask? How would you analyze this topic? Someone who loves me is willing to accept me, flaws and all, and still see me as a great person for whom they are willing to build and grow with. Someone who has to learn to love me analyzes everything, past, present, and future, in order to determine if the decision being made is to fit. Thoughts, right? So I wanted, I've already kind of dug into this a little bit. And so maybe, honey, I'll let you start to tackle this one a little bit.
So I think we've talked about this here and there just a little bit. I don't know. I have mixed views on it. I understand where she's coming from. Exactly. Either way, I will say this. Either way, that person has to learn to love you regardless.
Maybe. Because I think there's a distinct difference between the two. So I really was appreciative of the question because I don't know if people pick up on the distinct difference between someone who loves you and someone who has to learn to love you. And I changed the wording a little bit in my initial response as I started to dissect it. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing. Somebody may be saying, what's the difference?
Well, I was just going to say in the beginning, because a lot of times I think we get love or say I love you in the courting stage, whereas, the fireworks and it's not always, I can just say lust. Yeah, more the infatuation or the fantasy. Because a lot of people like to say lust, and I don't think it's always lust, but like the fantasy part of it,
right,
where you're falling in love and the oohing and ahhing and, all of those things, and you're really enjoying each other. And I love you, but making a decision off of just that,
right,
and not really getting to know the person as much as you can before you say the I do or choose them. And seeing those flaws, either pointing them out or saying, kind of thinking about, hey, this is something I'm going to have to deal with.
Right.
In this person.
Right.
Now, of course, you may not get everything up front. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. So here's how I kind of, because I think there's that distinct difference. So, and it feeds into what you're saying, right? So when you love somebody, right, you might love them flaws and all, for what you see on the surface.
Right.
But you don't know how deep those flaws go.
Right.
You don't know how you really are in love with the idea of them, the image of them. And when I say image, I don't mean, oh, well, she's got the nice curves and the nice hips and all that. I don't mean necessarily just I love them because of the external, but hey, most of the time when I see them on their good days.
Mhm.
When I do see their flaws, I don't have to deal with it long. It seems like a quick storm and it passes by. But you haven't seen them on their worst day.
Right.
TD Jakes put it this way one time. He said you meet the ambassador, but you marry the real person.
Mm.
You married a evil twin, is how he put it. Uh, so you really don't. You go through this and you really don't know. Kind of what people are what their long term is or who they are as a whole. And so I think that when someone loves them and they love them for who they are in whatever, and they accept me flaws and all, they might accept your flaws up front because they hadn't got it all.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They hadn't got the fullness.
Right. And it still doesn't mean that they're going to continue down the road. There is no guarantee that they're going to put up or continue to put up with those flaws.
Yeah. I agree with that. I agree. And here's something, and this is one of those transparent moments, and actually it's just a recent revelation for me to a different degree. And it goes in line with this topic, but this is one of those transparent moments. So we met, we got married, we've been through marriage, and we've been through our challenges in marriage, right? And we've talked about those things or what have you. And one of the things that grieved me was kind of that, like what I originally fell in love with, right? But then on the other side of going through life and going through challenges in marriage, there's this newer version of you. And when I was changing the brakes and I was listening to the TD Jakes sermon, I got to go back and listen to it again because it is some things I just want to sit down with my notebook because it's some things that was just in there is getting on the other side in loving the newer, greater version. But sometimes you're trapped with the original version because you remember the greatness of the original version, right? And so when you go, Jakes was teaching and he was talking about how when they got towed off to Babylon and when they went out and they finally came out after 70 years, that the old men weep because the old, greater, the magnificent temple of Solomon was no longer there. There's this new temple that to them paled in comparison, but in many ways it was greater than Solomon's temple. And so I think that when a person is willing, and that's what I twisted in her request, in her thing was, I put it this way: do I want someone who loves me or someone who's willing to learn to love me? Because learning to love someone to me is a lifelong journey.
But and that's what marriage is, if you think about it. That's learning to love somebody.
Yes. Yeah.
Because then you were talking about the changes, the old Babylon and the new, but just the changes that you go through. And then I want to ask you a question in just a minute because I hear a lot of this for men or the mindset of men on how you guys think. But you have to be willing to, and that's the thing. And that's why we say a lot of times in the beginning, if you're not with a person who you think will compromise or bend or is willing this and not just this is who I am or this is who,
yes.
If you're with that person, then run.
Run. Don't look back. Run. Don't look back.
Right. But when you're not willing to compromise and give and take and learn each other, it makes it difficult or hard because all they're gonna see is that image, or what they want to see in you, and they're not gonna want to deal or accept you for who you really are. At the heart.
And I think that that's really important is learning. So I'll tell you part of my response off the top of the head, and I had not had time to really digest the question because to me it's a very good question because I don't think people take the time to make the distinguishing distinguish between the two. So my thing is that but I think I'd rather be with someone who is willing to learn to love me, if that makes sense. If someone loves me, my first question is, why do you love me? Right? They say, I love you. Why do you love me? And I don't think a lot of people, it reminded me of the scene in one of the Madagascar movies. I forget what, Escape from Africa, and with the hippo played by Jada Pinkett meets Moto Moto.
Oh.
The big, he's supposed to be the big sexy hippo on the block, and everybody want Moto Moto. And then he like, girl, I like. So when they spend some time alone, like, girl, she's like, why do you like me? Why do you care? Girl, you huge. He like, yeah, you told me, but what else? You big? And like, yeah, you told me that. Girl, you around. You know, but he couldn't really connect with like Melvin the giraffe who loved her. Melvin had learned and was willing to learn to love her. Moto Moto just loved in that moment. Could he deal with her mood swing? Could he deal with right? Because you pretty or whatever, right? So what I look at is to let me see, willing to learn to love me, if that makes sense. It's if someone loves me, my first question is, why do you love me? Are they in love with the image and the idea of me or my very essence, right? To love anyone properly takes learning, and learning takes studying. I think that's one of my, in 22 years of marriage, there was a period of time where I didn't study you. I stopped studying. And when you stop studying, you miss some stuff. Right? It's kind of like college. You know, one topic builds on top of the other topic, builds on top of the other topic. And if you have one section of the topic that you didn't study, it's going to make it more difficult to deal with or cover or pass that other topic. Right? So to love anyone properly takes learning, and learning takes studying. So when I say, are you willing to love me? Is that person willing to study you? Is one of your chick flicks? See, these chick flicks be coming in handy. And was it When in Rome or something? But anyway, there was somewhere the girl had got some advice and said, if there's a fire, pay attention to what they would grab first. And I think it's like, if they grab like the sentimental things that are sentimental to the both of y'all, then that's somebody that really cares about you, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if I fully agree with that, but I get it, right? And I don't know if she tripped the alarm just to see it or whatever, but he didn't grab the pictures of them. He wasn't worried about the sentimental things that connected them. He was worried about the financial things and the pricey stuff and all of it. Yeah. And so it's that thing that when you study somebody, right? It was that thing. Is he studying you? Is she studying you? Because when you study a thing, then you begin to understand what's important to that person.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. What's important to them, regardless if it's important to you or that important to you, but you understand why it's important to them and you honor that.
Right. And one of the things is, like, for example, I learned to like shopping. As long as I ain't in a grumpy mood or tired or whatever, I learned to like shopping. I learned to do it. My wife likes to shop. I learned to enjoy shopping. Most men, I've learned to enjoy it when we go to outlets and stuff. Now, it's outlet number 3. Or you want to hit 2 outlets in one day that start to worry me a little bit. But I'm better. I ain't saying I'm perfect. I'm better. But I know a lot of men like, I can't do shopping with my wife. But if that's important to her, well, just let her go and do it. No. Because sometimes the important part of her there is to come out and ask you the 15th dress, do you like it? Right? And I ain't always there when she asking the dress, but she know I'm somewhere looking at what I look at, whether I'm in the Apple Store, Microsoft, or me and DJ just chilling out on a bench. Just people, but I'm close by.
Come look at this. So what do you think about it?
Yes, exactly. And that's important. Right? That's important to her. That I give feedback on those things. And she know my running joke. She'll come out there and dress I like. She like, you like this? I like, it wouldn't look good on me. It look great on you. You know what I'm saying? So you have to get into those vibes, into those places. So I says, so to love anyone properly takes learning, and learning takes studying. What happens one day when they don't want to learn? So if you have a person who no longer wants to be a student of you, are you, and this is the question that I think you have to ask if you're out there dating, or you're out there looking, or you are a spouse. Say, am I studying my spouse?
Mhm.
Am I still in school? Am I still willing to learn about them? But if you're dating, pay attention when they stop studying,
Mhm.
right? Pay attention when they stop studying. And studying isn't always noticing the new hairdo or the new shoes or whatever. But pay
Right.
attention when they stop studying simple things. Do they pick up when you had a long day and hey, I need maybe step up and take some pressure off of them or whatever. If y'all ain't dating, if y'all dating, you ain't living together, you know that's a whole nother spiritual thing. The pastor and me will come out and we'll talk about shacking up. But but pay attention
Right.
to studying, right? So they might say, hey, honey, look like you had a long day. Let's go out to eat. Let me take you out to eat, maybe make life a little bit easier for you or whatever. Or better yet, what you want to eat, and I'll go pick it up and bring it back so you can just kind of relax, detox from your day, whatever, right?
Mhm.
Are they studying, right? And so it's a cute thing. I think I'll say it. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. So my wife learned to make old fashions. That's one of my favorite drinks. When I want to have a drink, y'all don't judge us, whatever. But when I want to have a drink, and she, if I make my own, she'll like, oh, you don't like mine no more. But she took the time to learn to make it, and sometimes put a little twist on it, apple fashion, whatever.
Oh, I
But
put a twist on anything.
I put a twist on anything.
I was making my ways.
Make it
my fashion.
Make it her fashion. I get a Tamika fashion, and I enjoy my Tamika fashion. One day she put about half a gallon of syrup in there, but that's a whole nother discussion. Had to drink some water and thin my blood out from all the syrup and all that. But that's a whole nother thing. But it's still good. It's still good. Then one day she put enough in there. I'm like, girl, whoa, you just barely gave it to me straight. Okay, all right.
You did.
All right, I did. So what happens one day when they don't want to learn you anymore?
Mm.
What happens? If you're in a relationship right now, are they still learning you? Do they show signs of studying? Right? Do they show signs of studying?
Or even in a marriage, and they stop learning,
Yeah.
or wanting to learn, or willing to put forth the effort.
Yeah. Now, we have to talk about effort because sometimes the effort people want is Herculean, but we won't go there. So here's the thing: they stop studying. When they stop studying, they start looking for easy A's, i.e., a new image to love. And let me tell you, that is not always stepping out on you, but that new image may become work. That new image may become a hobby. That new image may become unhealthy behaviors, but they start looking for a new image to love. Doesn't have to be another person, but they look for a new image to love. Here's where we go. Now, the person who is willing to learn to love me will adjust where necessary. And let me back up on that person who just loves you. The thing about the person who just loves you, they will, and you hit the nail on the head earlier, they will love you and for who you are, but they don't require anything of you to get better. Right? I am who I am, and he just let me. I don't care if I come home and I set the whole house on fire. He just be behind me with the fire extinguisher, but he don't talk about me grabbing no matches.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's some people that's what you want. You want somebody to love you for your flaws and all, right? Even though one of your flaws is coming home and you're a pyromaniac. No, we got to talk about you picking up these matches. And I don't mean that literally a pyromaniac. I mean figuratively a pyromaniac. And you want somebody to just walk around behind you with a fire extinguisher and you say, oh, they love me because they willing to walk behind me with a fire extinguisher. No, the person that really loves you say, hey, why you keep burning the house, setting the house on fire?
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Because the person that loves you is like, oh, I'm just used to it. That's what they're going to do. And, in a few minutes, it's going to be over. And
yeah, they what they do is he or she come home and they say, hey, kid, just grab your gas mask, stay low to the floor. The smoke about to happen. I just refreshed the fire extinguishers. Don't worry about it. Right? That is not really loving you. But that's what some people want. The person who's just willing to keep putting out my fires instead of helping me get better, not starting fires, right? So here's what I say. Now, the person who is willing to learn to love me will adjust where necessary, but they will also hold me accountable based on what they have learned about loving me. So, for example, if they learn that part of loving me is to support and push me to accomplish my goals, and they see me slacking, they won't let it slide even when I give them attitude and push back against them. But the person who just loves me will give in to my pushback and let me slack on my goals. So that is, to me, is the distinct difference between the two. Between the two is that I have to be willing to love someone. I have to be willing to learn to love someone. And I think that in that, the difference between those two, I would prefer someone who is willing to learn to love me. I'm talking about actively learning to love me.
Right.
Help me be a better man.
And was that from a place? 'Cause a lot of times we get this to somebody that I have feelings for, or I'm just so in love with, versus I'm not.
I'm sorry, babe. Oh, okay, go ahead.
So what was I saying? So the person that was like, ooh, la la, I'm so in love with them. You have all these deep feelings, and then you realize, hey, this isn't the one or the person for me. And then the other person is there. You kind of have some that you're not sure about. It's almost like you get the question, do I marry for love or not?
Right. Right.
Do I marry for love or not? And that's where I was coming from, because the love initially is like I said, when you're there and you're in fantasy, oh, I love you. But regardless, through the years, that's where the real test of love comes in.
Yes.
That's where the real test of love comes in.
And this is what I'm gonna say. If you've been watching Marriage Refresh for any extended amount of time, you're gonna know what I'm about to say. But I'm gonna say it anyway. Okay. Love is a horrible reason to get married. Horrible reason to get married.
And you mean just love?
Just love. They love me. I don't care if they're even learning to love you, right? And they study. They got a PhD in you. Love alone is a horrible reason to get married. You might think I'm crazy for saying that. And I personally don't care if you think I'm crazy. But love alone is a horrible reason to get married. That is one component. It is important. It's necessary, but it's a horrible reason alone to get married. When we ask people what's the glue to marriage, we get the tradition: love, communication, trust. All of those things are good. But listen, the primary measure of if you should marry a person, okay, the primary measure is, do we have a shared purpose? Are we going to make each other better to accomplish something together that is greater than ourselves? So I want you to think about a house in this regard. A house has a concrete foundation. The foundation alone, you cannot live in the foundation. You live on the foundation. You can maybe pitch a tent on the foundation, but it ain't going to be very effective. You got all that foundation and not a whole lot to do with it. Right. But in order to make it livable, it has to collaborate with something that has a same purpose. The 2x4s have the purpose of building a wall and working with the foundation to support them in order to build walls. The plywood has the purpose of being placed around the 2x4s to enclose the house, and it's working with the 2x4s who's working with the concrete in order to build. Then the 2x4s on top and the plywood on top and the shingles bring forth the roof, and now the roof is working with the 2x4s, is working with the plywood, is working with the foundation in order to build the house. And it goes on and on and on. So now you got to look and say, each one of those things have their own individual thing, but when they come together, they build something greater than themselves. So when we say that you should marry for purpose, where y'all have shared purpose, I am not telling you to abandon your purpose. Your purpose should strengthen their resolve, and their purpose should strengthen your resolve. No one should have to sacrifice their dream, their purpose,
Right.
for the other. The two purposes should work together to make a stronger structure that serves something greater. Now, where the foundation was just the foundation is converted to a home because all of the materials that went into it had a shared purpose to cover others.
Right. And sometimes that takes figuring it out. It don't
Yes.
just come or mesh or it's easy. Sometimes it takes some figuring out.
But you gotta, but one of the things I think is important is you gotta, the question is not if you love me, do you love yourself?
Right.
Do you have a purpose for yourself?
Definitely.
You know, do you have a purpose for yourself? In do you love yourself? Are you moving forward with something in your life? Right? That's the real question. Is what is your purpose? And Tamika always say, especially for ladies, because y'all are notorious at this, do not date or marry a man with potential. Date or marry a man with potential in motion. That potential is already moving towards something. And I'll say it back the other way. Men, don't you?
And genuine motion. And a lot of times you can tell because sometimes you can be like, they're just doing stuff. Or you see the motion, but it's not heartfelt or something to do just to convince you.
Career students.
Yeah. Convince you that they're serious or whatever, but you know real motion and real that they're actually accomplishing something and getting something done, just not talking about it or started a few things or or making more excuses than they are.
Yes.
At finishing something or accomplishing or moving towards the goals and the things that they value and envision and stuff like that.
Yeah. And don't waste somebody else's time if you ain't got a plan for your life, right? You got a plan for your life, and they don't have a plan for your life, gonna equal up for misery for somebody's life.
Right. And then make sure also that they don't get your plan or vision, and then you think the motion is them trying to accomplish what you want.
Yes.
Yeah, like, oh, okay, so that's gonna be my motion moving forward, or the potential in motion is I'm gonna just do these things and throw them at their goals and career and what they want. And then later down the line, you have all this resentment.
Yes, because they done helped you build your dream, and they didn't have a dream of their own. Right? But again, purpose. When it comes to purpose of couples, if you've listened to us before, you understand when we say this. Purpose has to serve something greater than the couple. Oh, I want to get married, and we're going to have a nice house, and we're going to have nice careers, and we're going to take exotic vacations, and we're going to have a nice 401k, and we're going to retire and buy a Winnebago and go around the country. And those are goals. Those are goals. That's not purpose. Purpose is we're going to come together, and through us coming together, it's going to transform something that is going to help others. Right? Now, let me just get you right. If you're coming together and saying, with our career, we want to be in a place where financially we can consistently give and take care of, these needs for single mothers, or these needs for single fathers, or these things or whatever, and we're going to commit a portion of our career earnings towards that, we are serving something greater. So it doesn't have to be some grand, I own a business or whatever, right? But it is something that we are thinking about other people, how our union is going to benefit us and serve others. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say it's not always about the big picture, the big thing, or the, TV deal, or the mega church, or the this and that.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So
as long as you're on the same page.
As long as you're on the same page, you gotta have it. You gotta have it. It is purpose. Look for purpose before you look for love. Look for purpose before you look for love. And then, you can add some. If you get a good, strong start on purpose, then you do that. But if you don't know your purpose, it's going to be hard to identify purpose. And it ain't fair to the other person if you don't understand your purpose. And your purpose is something that always serves something greater than yourself. Every time. Simple definition of purpose. So, anything else you want to say on this before we try and bring up the
Yeah, I forgot. I gotta go back to my question.
Oh, go back to your question.
When
What
you
you
were
going?
talking about we were talking about love and marrying. For men, is it that when you fall in love, or you was kind of saying this a little bit in the beginning for us, or you have the idea of that person and you love that person, change is kind of difficult or hard because you're used to that idea or image of that person?
It's I so
And I hear
I,
this a lot.
I think change is difficult for men because we are creatures of habit. We are creatures of habit. That's why so many men get caught cheating, right? Because they creatures of habit. They creatures of habit, right? And when they break their pattern, their wife see it, right? So it's they creatures of habit in general. And I'm just throwing that out there, being silly. But we are creatures of habit, and because we are creatures of habit, I think that when we see something different, right? When we see something different, it is challenging for us to shift because we don't necessarily like to be uncomfortable. And that shift represents being uncomfortable. And me and a good friend, a brother, was talking that about that the importance of being uncomfortable. Like being uncomfortable is very important. It is important if you're going to grow to be uncomfortable. If you're going to heal, you have to be uncomfortable. If you're going to establish a great vision, you're going to have to be uncomfortable. I'm under no illusions. When I was saying like last year, I kind of lost steam on different things. Is I'm under no illusions that if Marriage Refresh is going to be great, that we're going to be comfortable making it happen. That means some late nights. That means sometimes you're getting off of your regular job to go and start working on your secondary job because you know that that's part of your, you know what I'm saying? So when that happens, but it's not about image in the way that women may think in terms of a man falling from the image because she don't look as fine as day one or as cute as on day one and those type of things. It's not so much that, but it's like, okay, she is going through a change. She is different. And now I have to adjust to that. And that's what the TD Jakes sermon really did something for me. And thinking about it is like, I forgot one of our key lessons that we teach. Make sure you give people credit for change. But in giving people credit for change, you also have to embrace that change.
Yeah,
you have to embrace that newer version, right? That's greater. Now, if they're changed to a newer version that's bad and detrimental for the relationship, that's a whole nother ballgame. But when you see them aspiring and growing to become an endeavor to be a better man, be a better woman, you have to embrace that. And you have to determine that, look, at their essence, they're still who I fell in love with. And I am glad to see them becoming a better version of themselves. Listen, I say this all the time. It's my new thing or I've been saying for a little while, for women. And this only applies to women, right? And I'm sure there's a reverse version of this in some way. I have to let you come up with that. But for women, as a husband, my job is to create a safe place for my wife to love herself. As a husband, my job, and I didn't always get this, my job is to create a safe place for my wife to love herself. Because when she is loving herself, the family is better off because she's better off. The family's better off. The marriage and the relationship would be better off. But that is uncomfortable for us as men. And the best example I could give you is if I was to take like a baseball and put it inside a balloon. When I first put it inside that balloon, that baseball representing the woman and the balloon representing the man, there's not going to be a lot of moving going on in there. And it's going to be friction, and it has the potential to rip the balloon, and it may or may not damage the baseball, right? But if the balloon represents the husband and I start to blow air into it, and the husband is growing, as he grows, the wife has more room to operate within his covering. as a husband, as he's providing security, right? But there's a balance there. There's a balance. So in that security, I'm usually, I have an imagery. I have to bring this back and teach it all together differently. But as you blow air into that balloon expands, and the wife can now move around freely, and she's in a safe place to love on herself. But if she gets carried away in that safe place, she can damage the husband, and then she loses the covering, right? So it is important. It is important for husbands to be able to create, and I can tell you, to your question, a lot of men, and I've been this man, do not like to be uncomfortable. We don't want to grow, especially when we think we've reached the mark. When we think, man, I got a good job, I'm doing pretty good, we're coming along, some mistakes are being rectified or whatever, but that's just the bare minimum. And there's something I'm actually as one of the books I'm writing, being the layaway woman. One of the things I talk about in my book that's coming up is the bare minimums. And sometimes as men, we are more prone to give the bare minimum, and women are more prone to accept the bare minimum.
No, that's true.
And I was having a conversation with a brother
That is true.
that's dating, and he had a chick living with him, whatever. And he, all right. And when he had this chick that he was dating, one of the things he said, well, man, she don't work, X, Y, and Z, and she should do this, that, and the other. And I didn't disagree with him. Like, he goes and work, she didn't go and work, right? I didn't disagree with him in that regard. Hey, if he taking care of all the bills, but again, I'm not real keen on giving married advice to people who are not married, because it's a little bit different commitment level. But in principle, he's working, she's home all day. Yes, he should not have to come home and clean the house, cook the food, whatever. This person contributes nothing or whatever, if that's the case. Gotcha. That shouldn't happen. But I also reminded him, I said, when he was like, man, I pay all the bills. Okay. I put a roof over her head. Okay. I said, now, before you met this woman, did you have this place where you live? Yeah. So you already had this bill before she got there. Yeah, I had the bill before she got there. Then you just were providing a bare minimum. That ain't changed nothing for you. You was providing a bare minimum. Now, well, I put food in the refrigerator. Okay, you put food in the refrigerator. Was you eating before she came? Yes, I was. Well, I ain't eat as much. Okay, I granted, you wasn't eating as much. But you was eating. Yes, you still had to put food in there. Yes, okay, that's a bare minimum. That's a bare minimum. So I look at that in that men sometimes will get comfortable. We will get comfortable with providing the bare minimum to a woman. And women, you readily accept the bare minimum. And that's the whole thing. One of the things I'm going to be bringing out in my book is how to stop accepting the bare minimums. How to stop accepting the bare minimums, because the bare minimums are preventing you from potentially finding the man that is really going to love you, or finding the woman that's really going to love you, because you have a bare minimum mindset.
Right. It's going to see you, value you, and know your worth.
Yes. Yes. So that's the thing that I look at, thing that I kind of face or whatever, or look at it, and how I would say that with men, we can get comfortable with giving the bare minimum. Bare minimum sometimes can look like, well, shoot, I made it in the house by 11. At least I wasn't out all night like I was last time. Dude, being at home with your family is a bare minimum. That's a bare minimum. You ain't did nothing special. I spent all last Saturday with y'all. You ain't did nothing special. That's a bare minimum. I cooked 3 nights out the week. That's a bare minimum. Especially if you don't routinely do that. That's a bare minimum.
Right. And then just being there is one thing, and being present is another.
And that is one of the things, and it's part of, I'm learning about myself. I struggle to be present because I didn't necessarily see present growing up. I grew up in a loving home. I grew up in a married home. I saw my mom and dad, love on each other, what have you. But I didn't necessarily have present parents. And so I'm recognizing that about myself. It's like I struggle to be present sometimes. But
it's an Adam thing.
I struggle to be present
He
sometimes.
was there. He just wasn't present.
You right. He was there. He just wasn't present. And see, when you ain't present, the snake starts slipping apples in. But so that's a whole. That'll preach right there. That'll preach, girl. You can preach that on women's
conference.
conference.
He wasn't present.
Yeah. But I try to make sure I'm available, and I even say to my kids, "Hey, listen, I don't care what I'm doing, whether I'm in my studio, I'm in the guest room working on something. I am always available to you. You can come in. Hey, Dad, I need you. I'm gonna drop what I'm doing." And try and help you, and then I can get back to that. Even if that means I have to stay up later to do what I got to do, I'm going to be available, but I do have to work at being present.
Right, and that goes back to the willing to love too. Being present a lot of times, they're listening and they're getting the small things that are important to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a part of the willing to love.
Right. I'm gonna try and cue up this video before we get out of here tonight, and see if I can get this, because I want to cover this, and we probably don't even have time to get it all. But I'm
what video it is.
Huh?
I don't remember what video.
Oh, you'll see. Let me see. So I'm hoping I can get this video to play.
That works.
I'm hoping that it'll play the same. I think it's off.
Okay.
I hope it's off. It's messing up my sound now. What is this doing? It's not bringing you back. Let me make sure. All right. We gonna see. I might have messed up the church's money. Let me see. Okay. I think you back, babe.
Okay.
All right.
And we're back. We're sorry about that.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to download the
test.
video or figure out the video and see what's what, because I really want to cover that video, and we probably don't have enough time with 10 minutes left.
What was the video about?
This is the video about the lady with the divorce court. And
yes.
the divorce court.
Okay.
I want to cover that. So we're gonna bring this back on next Tuesday. It is a good video. I'm gonna figure out how to rip it so I can put it in the right thing and it don't mess nothing up. So because that's a good one. I think that might be a topic all in of itself. But it's a really, really, really good video, and so we're gonna go with that. So anything you got left to cover, honey, before we get out of here?
I just want to say that it is National Spouses Day.
National Spouses Day. They come up with all these days. I ain't know.
Oh, I know, and I heard this morning. But actually, this one really, I really love when they were explaining about this National Day or Spouses Day or whatever, because it was more than, or it wasn't even about you were supposed to go get a gift or something like that for your spouse. Basically, it was something that we were talking about earlier, being present. So it's more about holding hands and connecting. So this National Spouses Day is about connecting with each other, taking out a little time to, be in each other's presence, hold hands, kiss, have a conversation, give them a card or a little token or something that they might like, kind of cheesy or corny, like I do, because that's just what I do. But
All right. Yeah.
But I was just really vibing on that today, so I wanted to say to everybody, all our spouses out there, happy National Spouses Day.
Happy National Spouses Day. See, we hold the hand. Whatever.
Oh.
No, I'm teasing.
So that's why you grab my hand.
Yeah, girl. Yeah. Grab your hand, rub your leg.
Yeah, but it's about connecting.
And
so,
about connecting.
So go connect with your spouse.
Go connect with your spouse.
Yeah.
Go connect with your spouse.
I still do.
I still do.
T-shirt.
Go the distance. Yeah. Oh, you ain't worn yours in a while.
No, because I hadn't even cut it up, so I hadn't worn it in a while.
Lord help us.
I wear T-shirts. Like
yeah, you know. So, remember, if you have any questions, any topics you'd like to cover, us to cover, listen, drop us a message. Whether that's in Marriage Refresh, you can hit us up on Instagram. We have Instagram at Marriage Refresh. You can catch us on Twitter at Marriage Refresh. You can catch us on Facebook at Marriage Refresh. You can hit me up direct. You can hit Tamika up direct.
Messenger.
Yeah, on Messenger. Exactly. And we will take your topic and we will talk about it on air. And this is the great thing. If you so choose, you can join us on air to discuss your topic with us, so we can make sure we get your vibe on your topic. We're always open to that. Look forward to that. Listen, hey, Shirley, we are looking to in February get you on for episode February. We're gonna be talking about love, and we're gonna talk about love in the bedroom, out the bedroom, around the bedroom, in the car. It's our sex-episodes. We're going to have a couple of sex-episodes. And so we're going to bring some people on, and we're going to enjoy, and we're going to talk about this stuff. And so, listen, for those who are 18 and under, or under 18, this ain't going to be X-rated, but it's going to definitely be for grown folks. So we'll start it out light, but we'll be putting out an announcement on some things to talk about or what have you. Like one of the topics I'm going to just go ahead and put out there, and we're going to just talk about openly is toys, yes or no? Are they okay?
No.
We're going to talk about toys. Yeah, we're going to talk about toys, just different things for them. So, again, it ain't X-rated, but it's going to be for grown folks, right. Mature audiences only.
Yeah, we're going to be tasteful.
We're gonna be tasteful. We're gonna be tasteful, right? We got a message in here. Important tips for newlyweds. All right, we will take that on as a topic. We will absolutely do that as a topic. Important tips for newlyweds. Be on the lookout for that as a topic coming up. We love that. Yeah. We could even work that into a sex-episode because it does take more than sex for newlyweds. But the bedroom need to be hopping or whatever. But
or a lot of things that you don't, I guess, get as newlyweds, or you kind of learn later when nobody expresses or tells you or are vulnerable with you about some stuff as newlyweds.
Yes.
Just let them learn on their own, or they're into the oh, we're so happy for y'all, and it's so beautiful, and you're gonna love it, and
the lies people tell newlyweds. That's what we're doing. The lies people tell newlyweds. Let us tell you the truth. Yeah. So we'll come up. Definitely with the topic, and we'll be hitting that.
And not all bad stuff. I mean, it's good stuff, but you don't just harp on all of the.
You know what I think we should do?
What?
Maybe in March, we'll put out something.
Strawberry and shortcakes of it.
No, I think what we should do is, and this will definitely help newlyweds. We should do our before you get married, our Marriage Refresh teaching that we teach the couples in order for them to get their certification for marriage and all of that, or their license, or get their discount. We're going to offer that in March. I think we're going to offer that in March. So we're going to put some stuff together and offer that. But we will touch on your topic of important tips for newlyweds before March. But I think we're going to maybe put that out and it'll be interactive. It'll be less on Facebook and more interactive, where people can sign up and you can actually ask us questions live. We'll do it through Zoom, something like that. But I think we're going to do that in March. You'll be able to sign up for it. So, anything else, babe?
No.
You sure?
Sure.
All right.
You know, if I do, I'll think about it like right when we get off the air.
Yeah, you will. You'll be like, so I'm gonna give you just a minute.
No,
Give you
I'm
just a
good.
minute. Hey, I will give you one tip
Mhm.
for newlyweds, right? Give you one tip for newlyweds. Um, you will have tough times. Quickly identify your fantasies about marriage so that you can live in the reality of marriage with less conflict.
That's good.
A lot of your initial conflicts will be about the fantasy versus the reality. Your fantasy, everyone, men and women alike, had a fantasy of sorts about what marriage would be like. And a lot of times people didn't tell us the truth.
That ties into this. Your expectations.
Yes.
Let them know your expectations.
Yes. Even
Early on.
the Lord of
Newlywed.
all the universe said a couple of things. We're going to close with this. Lord of all the universe said this. He said, I know what you have need of even before you ask. That's what the Lord of all the universe says. He said, I know what you need before you even ask me. But the same Lord come back and say something to you. He said, make thy request known. If you don't share your expectations with your spouse, do not expect them to be a mind reader. Do not expect them to be a mind reader. Even if they know, still express it.
Still express it.
And be clear about your expectation. And then ask yourself, is your expectation reasonable? Because that's another one of those things. That's where that reality versus fairy tale, a lot of people have a lot of unreasonable expectations of their spouse. I think that's it. Good? Yeah, we better stop because we love teaching about marriage. We love interacting with people in marriage. We hope that you would join us, whether you're, when we put out the, before we begin teaching that we do our pre-marriage education, we're going to open that up for whether you're single, whether you're engaged, whether you're dating. We think it's great for all, or even if you're married, we're going to have that, and we'll get a schedule together and cover those topics.
So we're like cheerleaders for marriage, if
Yes.
you can't tell already. And we
Yes.
know it's difficult sometimes and it's a hard road, but hey, we're here to cheer you on, encourage you, do what we can.
22 years in the making over here. So,
Yeah.
and we still learning. So,
Got a lot to learn still.
still got a lot to learn. So until next video, I'm Damon Rich.
And
Yes,
I'm
we growing.
And I'm Tamika Rich.
All right. Thank you for joining us.
Good night.
God bless.
Thank you.
I don't know. Do I have my button? I don't know if I got my button. I think I got my button.